everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Beth. I am a mum and homeschooler in Suffolk in the UK, and today I thought I'd do a little video on like different ways to homeschool, different types of homeschooling. People keep asking, either like me personally or on groups on Facebook and things, like, how do you homeschool? What do you do? Like, you know, they're wanting to potentially take their children out of school, and they're like, where do we even begin? And I thought that I'd do this video so that instead of me writing it down 100 times and sending it to people, I could just be like, go to this video. This is me explaining it for you. So there are actually like a crazy amount of different ways that you can home educate, but I'm just kind of choosing the main few to try and make it as clear and understandable as possible. So first of all, there is all online, so you can literally like pay for a package and they deliver it to your student online. I think most of them, we don't do this, so I'm not 100% sure kind of how this works, but I think most of them, it will be like the lessons are there and you complete the lessons in your own time. There's no like set time you have to be on there, but your parents and the tutors can see when the lesson has been watched and if there's any work set for the lesson, if that's been completed, and then you can move on. I think teachers also like mark the work, so that's probably quite a good option for parents. That's really little input needed. It's not going to take up much of your time. If you're working and also homeschooling, that's probably a really good one to do, because you can just let your child go on that. Now obviously as they're younger that's harder, but as they get older they can essentially set their own schedule. They know the work they've got to do and they know kind of how much they've got to do in a week, so they can I've heard of children who literally get up at like 7, do 2 hours of work till 9, make sure it's all done, their work for the day, and then they have the rest of the day to themselves. Or maybe they want to do all their work for the week in one day, so they do that and then they've got the whole rest of the week kind of off to do other things that they want to do. I've looked at a few of them just now, just to have a look for you really. So there's one called King's Inter High, and that's around £3,500 a year. That looks really good. I didn't see how many subjects they did, but I thought that looked really fun, and it looked like they're just on there, you know, it literally is like school at home. That looked really lovely, and you know, £3,500 like for the year isn't that awful. Like in school they say the average child costs about 7,000 a year, so obviously if you're working it might be that you can kind of afford to pay for that, and then obviously you can then continue working while your child's doing that, and that seems really like a good way to do it to me. The other place I looked on was called Ed Place. That's £100 a year for one child, and then you can get a family pack for more students, and they just do English literature, English language, maths, and then all the 3 sciences, so chemistry, biology and physics. And equally that is, you just go on whenever you want to and you do your work. So for those that are also a little bit nervous about doing like group Zoom sessions and classes, this is probably a better thing, because you're not in a class with anyone else. It's not live, it's all pre-recorded, and you can just do it at your own time. So particularly for those children with maybe anxiety, that seems like a really good way to do it. And for £100 a year, that's like insane. I actually looked into this because my friends use this, and so I thought, oh, I'll just look it up literally just today, and I thought that's amazing. And they do Key Stage 1 all the way through to GCSE, so I might have a look at that for one of Hope's science GCSEs, because that looks brilliant, and maybe even her English languages too, because we're kind of struggling with that currently on the £2 tuition hub. So that's kind of the all online. Secondly, there's something called like curriculum based. So essentially you buy the curriculum and you teach your children, but you're not having to research everything yourself, because it's already there. So you can get like the Collins books or the CGP books or something like that. You could use that, go through it. There's some which are like specifically designed for home educators, like Night Zookeeper, I've heard that's really good for English. And you essentially take your child through those. I mean, I guess if they're older, they could potentially do it themselves. But you know, the way I would probably do it, and we do this with the maths, we use the Collins books, they are amazing, is we look at it ourselves first and then teach the children, but then they've got loads of questions and test papers and stuff in them, and I think that's absolutely fantastic. Obviously you need to find the ones that suit you, because some children get on better with different kind of styles of textbooks, but essentially that to me sounds like a really lovely way to do it. But obviously for parents that's more time consuming, because you have to sit there and teach your children, but as I say, there's not a lot of planning because it's already kind of done for you. The other ones that people use are the Good and the Beautiful. That's like a massive one in America from what I hear, but that's a full curriculum all together, so you don't do like separate, you don't have to buy the separate English and maths, it's just all together. And from what I understand, it's like day one, you know, here's your English for the day, here's your maths for the day, here's your science for the day, etc. But I don't know massive amounts about that one. The next one, let me just move my page over because I've taken notes, is like a project-based or unit studies kind of based approach. So you essentially see what your child is interested in, or you maybe talk about it together, and you do a project on that. So say they really wanted to learn about electricity, you would research things, print off resources, maybe get things from the internet, and it would all be about electricity. Now in that, you might do some writing and get your English skills. You might do some maths and get your math skills. You might do some cookery or science, some hands-on science learning, and lots of different ways that you can do that. And you can actually get quite a rounded education from that. I guess the downside is if you ever want to get an actual qualification, that's not massively going to work. But actually that is kind of how the world works, isn't it? The world is kind of more project-based. You know, even in a job like you know, you might be an engineer in electricity pylons, and you would learn all about that and know everything you can about that subject, and you would become an expert in that area. Or for example, childminding, you might research everything there is to know about childminding and become an expert in that area. And that is kind of how the world works, isn't it? Like almost like project-based unit studies. You can also do unit studies online. I've done some myself on like the Centre of Excellence, and there are children's courses on there too. They tend to be about £28 a course, and they get a little certificate at the end. And I think that actually for life, that is a really good way of learning. But as I say, if you're ever wanting to get like an actual kind of qualification like a GCSE or something, that's probably harder to do that way. And finally, there is unschooling. So in traditional unschooling, you don't use any textbooks, and it's like learning doesn't start and then stop. It's not like now we're going to learn and now we're not learning. All of life is learning. So whether that's I don't know, going to the park and taking a map to get you there, or going to Tesco and writing a list using your writing skills, adding up how much it's going to cost using your math skills, cooking using your math skills, your weighing and your measuring. Even things like making a cup of tea are like science. If you put sugar in there, you're dissolving it in the water, in the liquid. You know, so unschooling is that where you essentially learn through life and there's no really formal learning. I'm just going to sign off because I'm running out of space. Hang on a second. Oh, sorry about that. Had to go and delete loads of things from my camera now. Anyway, so yeah, that's unschooling, and really what we do is a kind of a bit of a mix of everything. We we have a curriculum, but we've kind of made our own curriculum, if that makes sense. So I'm like, I want them to do English, maths, science, and then we'll go through topics. They're also going to do extra things like little clubs and stuff like that, of which there are loads in every area. So whatever area you're in, I would massively advise you to go onto your Facebook pages, join them, and you will see so many activities going on. I mean, I live in like rural Suffolk, and there is so much going on just around here. Like you could go to things every day, and so there is just so much to do. A massive thing I would say to you is do not worry about the social side. They'll get it. And actually, if you're taking your children out because they're not getting on well at school, like that's probably not going to be your major issue, is how many friends they have right this second. But I want to encourage you, if you feel like your child is not getting on well at school, like just try it, because they can always go back in, right? Like the worst that can happen is they're out for 6 months and then they go back in. But actually I think that trying to like jump from school to homeschool is a massive thing. I know it's a massive like decision. You're like, what's going to happen? What's our life going to look like? How do we do this? But I can tell you now from experience, it was so scary. But now I do not look back at all. I'm like, I don't want to send them to school. I'm so glad they're like this. We actually chose this because they weren't getting on at school, but now it's like a lifestyle choice. Like I wouldn't send them back to school unless they really wanted to go. But that certainly would not be my choice for them. I think that they have a brilliant education and a brilliant life at home and doing all the things they do. And I would just say, go for it. And if you want to leave any comments or message me, then please do. But thanks for watching, guys. See you again soon. Bye.